Welcome in to Just 5 minutes for me to do what I love doing, gas bagging on something. This 5 is about separation and what's interesting because Scottie Scheffler is in a stretch of golf that you don't see very much, and it gets to something that in and of itself is interesting, whether you think the person who's doing it is interesting themselves, and that's where a lot of people are missing it altogether when it comes to this guy. Freight trains. We look at freight trains from afar and you go, oh, you know what, that's Americana right there. But what if you get to that gate and it drops down in front of you going, how long is this going to take? I had a freight train when I was in college at 1:23 a.m. I could hear the horn in the distance. I have no idea where that rail line was, but that freight train came through every night at 1:23. And I think it was probably going across the country, and I have no idea how many cars there was. But the clickety-clack of it just kept going and going and going. When athletes get into a space that very few get into, we lean in. So whether that person, after the event is over, goes in and says something provocative or interesting or controversial, does it ever really even matter? Separation today in sports at the elite level has never been harder. One, because of the money in the sports that we watch and we cover has never been greater. And by virtue of that, the pursuit of this has never been undertaken by more people. Have you looked at what strength and conditioning coaches are getting paid at the collegiate level? $1 million to teach people how to lift weights, nutritionists and hygienists that are on full-time staffs of college football programs. I heard Matt Rule, the head football coach at Nebraska, say yesterday, we have the best nutritionists in America. Really? There are rankings for that? If there are, I wouldn't be surprised. What it speaks to is that the pursuit of getting the most minuscule advantage for his offensive lineman to drive somebody on the other side of the football 1 more yard down that line of scrimmage, to give them 1 more yard to get a first down, to give them the chance to win another game, has never been more valuable. So what if you see somebody or something, like a team or an individual, start to do things where it seems like what they're doing can't be matched by their opponent? And you start to use a word that is maybe the most powerful word, I think, in sports: inevitable. See, there was a stretch, because I watched them all on WGN. Michael seemed inevitable. The decade of the 90s, every single time he went on the court, because he didn't take nights off, that at the end of that night, he was going to be better than anybody else on the other side of that court. Scottie Scheffler is doing things in golf that somebody else in this generation has done, and that's why we invoke his name, because how way else can we possibly contextualize his performance? So if Scottie Scheffler says or does anything that might or might not be interesting when the event is over, who cares? He is doing things in golf that only one other person has done, and that is get so far out in front of the competition, he would have to take months and maybe the next year off for them to catch up in terms of the quantitative data that would prove that they are catching up. So his 4 major championships now at the age of 29, no, that doesn't put him out in front of the likes of Woods and Nicklaus, but you know what it does? It puts him in their company, and it's not just the fact that he's done it by margins that only they have done it. 3 or more, 4 times, and is only 4. So we don't know where he's going, but here's where I know he's not going. He's not going on TikTok. He's not going on Twitter X. He's not going on Snapchat, and he's not going on Instagram. Where he's going is to the next event, and he's going there to kick somebody's ass. So when that event is over, if he's won, and that would be 5 this year, that would be 18 in total, and that would be a haul that we have not seen since that 100-year flood himself, Tiger. Mike Tyson went into the ring, and you knew what the result was going to be, but you still paid $39.99 to watch that fight that lasted 91 seconds against Michael Spinks. You'll keep watching because separation sells. That is your Just 5 for this week. Did it feel like it was 15? I don't know. It felt like it was 50 for me.